Hello and welcome everybody. This is Deathfest Warrior and welcome back from the stars. Today is going to be a special episode because you see, I want to talk about the new Armored Core. I've been watching a lot of people and all their reactions of it, and it's been mostly positive, but there's been a few bad apples here and there. So apparently, there's been a bunch of people struggling to even beat the tutorial boss. And to an extent, I understand this. This is a very common trait with FromSoft. Because look at the Tree Sentinel, look at the Taurus Demon, and then in Demon Souls they had the Slime Boss. Like I said, of course I know all of those aren't like the first bosses, but that's a big thing about Armored Core in general. Is if you're an Armored Core vet, you'll remember that except for only a few of the Armored Core games, were marathons. Because they would take you through a city, sometimes they'd have a buddy with you, and then they would show you the ropes, how everything worked. You'd fight an okay boss. Usually they were tough for the beginning of the game because you didn't have anything yet. And then after all that, they would give you a jump scare and that'd be the end of the mission. But today, the real reason I wanted to make this video was because I wanted to talk about how everyone keeps saying that Dark Souls and Armored Core have nothing in common. And with this video, I'm going to show you all the elements that Armored Core took from Elden Ring. As you can see, in Armored Core, you can go back and forth. In Elden Ring, you can do the same thing with the quick step or the flash. But those of you who've actually been veterans know that this was actually taken from Armored Core, as this is actually a basic mechanic from Armored Core. Thus, this is also something that connects them. The plasma shield that's in the game, this is new to Armored Core. This was something that was first done in Elden Ring, actually. If you use the Wondrous Physics, you can give yourself a bubble, and the bubble will protect from the next hit. Or if it's on you long enough, it'll just dissipate. Similar to the bubble in Armored Core. Plus, if the bubble takes enough damage, it'll dissipate just like on Armored Core. Well, both Armored Core and Elden Ring both have Sword and Shield. A big thing about Armored Core is shields are actually very new to this game. And one thing you'll notice is melee weapons are a lot more like grapples, similar to like the Dark Hand. Even though this has almost always been a mechanic, the sword, of course, is a very focal part of combat. Maybe not the most optimal, but swords can be used even to beat the game. So, in a way, the sword and shield is a much harder but more basic way to play the game, especially if you're trying to get like more money because you don't want to spend as much on the ammo. But unless you have a really fast build, you'll be taking a lot more physical damage that you'll have to pay for anyways. And now we're going to compare a few more things that make the games very similar. Similar to Elden Ring, you do have a maiden who follows you around. Why this probably isn't the most unique thing, this is interesting that they did this in the 6th game. In the next couple clips, you'll see me fight against bosses with sword and shield. Yes, I have a shotgun, and yes, I have missiles, but missiles are kind of like this game's version of magic. And this is this game's version of bonfires, which are really interesting and you don't always get them, but you do get checkpoints. As you watch this fight, you will notice that these bosses are very Dark Souls inspired, from their movements to kind of their abilities as well. And if you look closely, you can fight it like you were playing an Elden Ring boss. Not to mention, there are random, very strange status effects. And you do build up meters for them.
Two repair kits remaining.
On to more borrowed mechanics. This is something that was never in an Armored Core game that was also recently added in Elden Ring as well.
Concluding evaluation.
While an old mechanic to Dark Souls, this was a newer mechanic to Armored Core. In the older games you could rush people to damage, but that was different than an actual kick. In the Armored Core game, there are a few Easter eggs. There is a shield that is really fast called the Buckler. In this game, I know it seems hard to level up, but you get a different kind of currency in this game from battling against specifically the arena. So I'm going to compare it by showing the different leveling up systems side by side.